Abby, Molly, Emma, Ezra, and Caden. 8th graders Ethan, Cheeto, and Mac, who will lead us in the flag salute and read the land acknowledgement.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, her name is
The Pacifica School District acknowledges that we gather on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Ramaytush Ohlone people.
As guests, we humbly extend our gratitude to Ramaytush Ohlone elders and community.
We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homelands, and we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples.
As the original stewards of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with nature.
Likewise, Pacifica School District commits to teaching our school community how to be responsible stewards of this land. Hi, our names are Baby, John, Camille, and Sequoia, and we are 6th graders at IBM Middle School. Our first year at IBM has been really fun and has been a great year, and I've met some awesome people. My favorite thing about IBL is the kind teachers who are understanding and eager to talk to them about the problem.
With our incredible staff, we also have a wonderful advisory session where we focus on IBL's different character traits. This session is called BARK, because of IBL's mascot, the Bulldog. BARK stands for belong, are accountable, respect all, and are kind. These traits help people that attend IBL to be quality students.
The year at IBM has been wonderful. The teachers and students are incredible. One of the interesting things at IBM is the lunch games. Our homeroom teacher chooses 2 students who want to be in the lunch games, and then at lunch they go to the commons and play the lunch game that has been set. I look forward to more lunch games.
One highlight of our 7th grade year was our elective program, one being band. We enjoyed many after-school activities or opportunities such as marching band, jazz band, and our after-school band night fundraiser.
Another thing that was enjoyable about the elective program was the rotations of art, academic, sport, and yoga.
Our 7th grade year also included many key activities such as captain chicken and big soccer. Upcoming, we have field day, a day full of activities with our excellent teachers.
In 7th grade, we also enjoyed many assemblies and speakers, such as Mr. Knight, who showed us medieval weapons and armor. We also did fun experiments with real scientists, and we also enjoyed a BMX bike show.
Another thing we enjoyed was Challenge Day. It helped us better understand our classmates and it brought awareness to the people around us.
Publishing Day was also a really exciting day for all of us, especially for 8th graders, because we got to get to know our underclassmen and give them advice as 8th graders. And we also got to exercise our leadership skills along with other activities like electives.
In addition to the leadership skills that we learned from Publishing Day, we also learned a lot of different stuff like critical thinking, time management, as well as public speaking, like what we're doing today. And these skills are what we're going to have to keep in our minds throughout high school and beyond.
We also learned about social skills in our weekly advisory lessons, where we looked at social problems and interacting with our peers. As 8th graders, we're also looking forward to the end of year activities such as the dinner dance and Great American Trip for all our hard work.
Great, thank you.
Well, Bulldogs, usually what I say is thank you so, and this is to much younger children, I say thank you so much for this. I'm sure you have homework and you have a bedtime. However, today is a really exciting day in the Pacifica School District where we are going to appoint our new superintendent. We are looking to appoint 2 new principals, including your own interim principal. And so if you are interested in staying, it probably will only be another 30 minutes. But I think it would be fantastic and that's a really big moment for the IBL Bulldogs, and would love to have you here cheering for Miss Alderson. And Miss Weideman and Miss Alderson are going to present on IBL Middle School Mathematics. So it's a big night. You're welcome. We don't have seats. We could make some more seats over here. But some of you also have to get home because you have homework. So do not feel stuck here. Okay. Thank you very much. Great presentation.
All right, Barbara, would you please take the roll?
Yes, Trustee Riddle. Here. Trustee Rikini.
Here.
Trustee Doggett. Here. Trustee Patel. Here. Trustee Neopolis.
The district records the audio portion of the meetings. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time during a period for inspection by the members of the public on district equipment without charge. In-person speakers wishing to address the board on agenda items or non-agenda items, please complete a request card with your name, address, and the item number, and submit it to the board president or the superintendent. You'll be called to address the board and may speak for up to 3 minutes. Virtual speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please submit your first and last name and agenda item you wish to speak on in the Q&A area of the webinar. Please do not submit comments or questions in the Q&A area. You'll be called to address the board. Your microphone will be unmuted, and you may speak for up to 3 minutes. After you've spoken, your microphone will be muted. The board met in closed session to discuss closed session items, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2. Also public employment, superintendent, in conference with labor negotiators. The board voted 4-0 to move forward with the settlement agreement. All right. Approval of the minutes. Are there any minutes of April 14th, 2023 special meeting? Are there any questions regarding these minutes? All right. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 14th, 2023 special board meeting of trustees?
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of April 14th, 2023.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
All right. Approval of minutes of April 19th, 2023 regular meeting. Are there any questions regarding these minutes? Okay, no questions. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 19th, 2023? A motion to approve?
I'll second.
All right.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
All right. Approval of the agenda and consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any items shall be removed from this section and placed in the regular order of business following approval of the consent agenda.
I'd like to pull item E. Okay. Just for some future information. I don't know that we can get it tonight, but okay.
Okay.
9E gets pulled off, and then we're looking at approving the rest of the agenda. We address 9E right after the agenda's approved.
Okay.
Can it be at a future date for more information?
If we're not able to answer that, okay, right?
Okay. So, well, that section. Very much. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Minus 9E.
Minus 90.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 9B.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
So at this point is when we would discuss 9E, the personnel changes, and we actually do have 2 public comments around that. So we'll go in alphabetical order. Super.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak on an item. I would like to request that the board ask staff to bring back more information on the item related to moving person from the classified unit into the certificated unit. It wasn't clear exactly the nature of all of the details around this. And there are some questions that have come up among members of CSEA. We just so happened, we had a meeting just this evening, right before this meeting. And so I apologize for not sending information and a request to you earlier than just now. In speaking to this just now, but I do feel that there is a need for a little bit more clarity about exactly the nature of why this is necessary, the job that is being done, the work, how the positions are structured, how they're different from each other, et cetera. And so I don't know if you need more detail, I'd be happy to provide it, but at this juncture, I just think more information is warranted and maybe staff could provide that for the board. Thank you.
Nicole, or think?
Thank you. Good evening, Superintendent Olson, Cabinet, and trustees. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to you about an item on the consent agenda 9E. There's one item in particular that I have concerns about, and my request is that the board table this for further discussion at a later date when more information can be gathered and presented. For a very long time, this work resided in the classified unit. It was done by classified employees. It's documented historically. And I have deep concerns when work is taken out of classified and transferred to certificated with very little information as to why that's being done. I'd also like to ask that everyone, cabinet, administrators, employees, and the board, remember that the bargaining agreement is that. It's an agreement. It's an agreement that we classified employees take to our core. And it's an agreement that we made with you. We did the work at the table and we came to agreement on these items. And all we ask is that you follow it. We ask the same of our chapter members, our employees, and we ask the same of the district. Please follow the agreement because it's in fact that. It's an agreement that we've already come to agreement on and are moving forward to implement those items contained within to serve our students, to serve each other, to serve our community. So I thank you for this opportunity to speak and I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. So, Will, could you go into the agenda and pull up the personnel changes? Okay. So just to make sure I'm clear on this, because our interest is in approving the personnel changes minus that little piece so that we can go forward. And my understanding is that the concern is around the correction of Cynthia Skinner's substitute classification effective January 12th, 2023. So we'll strike that for a future date and bring that back on the 31st and ask you to approve the personnel items minus C.
Are there any more questions or?
That should be
Okay, that's good. All right, so would someone like to make a motion to approve that item minus letter C?
Certificated C.
Sorry.
A motion to approve the personnel changes minus certificated number C.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
And we'll bring certificated C back to the next board meeting.
All right, next, communications. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda items or non-agenda items, please submit your fine first and last name and agenda item that you wish to speak on in the Q&A area of the webinar. Please do not submit comments or questions in the Q&A area. To be called on to address the board, your microphone will be unmuted and you may speak for up to 3 minutes. After you've spoken, your microphone will be muted. All right, our first communication today is from LSCA.
And just for accuracy, that both the LSCA and CSCA leaders do not have time.
Okay. You can call the mic. I was making it online.
I'm bringing her on right now.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wow, that's good. First try. Good evening. 2 weeks ago, we got word that one of our veteran teachers suddenly passed away. Michelle Kale had 34 years in the district as a member of the Ortega and Odstad communities. Known for her love of books and her yearly incubation of chicks, her Pacifica School District colleagues are grateful for the decades of service she provided educating hundreds of students in Pacifica. Tonight, we look forward to the formal appointment of our next superintendent. Representatives from LSCA, CSCA, administrators, parents, and community members all participated in a piece of the hiring process by sitting on the Educational Partners Interview panel. This was just one of the many parts of the entire application process. Like the members of the interview panel, we are certain the Pacifica community is also eager to hear the qualities which our new superintendent will bring to help us with the challenges we face in Pacifica. After the stakeholder input report, we know how many of these challenges and concerns of our community. There are mighty challenges, and we look forward to working with the approved candidate who we expect will be coming with some solutions and ways to work with all of us to improve. While we do have challenges in Pacifica, we have a lot of strengths we can share with the candidate, including our dedicated staff and supportive community. On Monday, we had a negotiation session with the district. We have another one on May 22nd. LSCA continues to put forward creative solutions and ideas for an entire compensation package for our certificated employees. We would love the district team to put forth some creative effort as well. We should all be a team working together to attract and retain our dedicated certificated employees. We are looking forward to our LSCA and CSCA social at the end of the year at Seabowl next week. If you are a PSD employee and haven't gotten your name in or board member, no problem. Please reach out and you will get on our guest list. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, next speaker from CSCA.
Hello, my name is Nicole Sayers and I am the president of CSBA Chapter 128. Tonight, I'd like to welcome Melissa Curl as a new TK paraprofessional at Valmar School. Our CSCA Above and Beyond recipients for May 2023 are Aaron Turley and Carlos Marino. Aaron Turley is one of our district's groundkeepers. He works very hard and takes great care when performing his duties. He consistently goes above and beyond in caring for our district's grounds. Carlos Marino is one of our district's custodians. In addition to executing his regular duties, Carlos has been going above and beyond by filling in when employees are absent and cleaning multiple schools in the evening. The board has an exciting job tonight. They are taking action on the employment of Darnice Williams as the new superintendent of the Pacifica School District, the hiring of Kathy Alderson as the new principal of IBL, the hiring of Rachel Carrion as the new principal of Ortega. CSEA, California School Employees Association, is the classified union for the Pacifica School District. We are approximately 140 members strong, and we are a hard-working group of employees who keep the school district running. We would like to extend a warm welcome to Darnice Williams, the new superintendent that the board is expected to take action on tonight. We are excited to have you and are hoping that we can carve out some time soon. Carve out some time soon so that we can meet with the executive board and maybe you can attend one of our members' meetings. CSEA would also like to congratulate Kathy Alderson on her new principal position at IBL and Rachel Carrion on her new principal position at Ortega School. CSDA would also like to express our sympathy for the loss of Michelle Hale at Ortega School. After many, many years of teaching, it's very sad to hear that. We're getting closer to the end of the school year, but we have new people starting in new positions, and CSDA is happy to help with any transitions in any way we can. And as always, I thank you for your time.
All right. People wishing to address the board?
On non-agenda items.
Non-agenda items.
And do that and put a card in later. A really quick one.
Yes, you may.
It's super.
Well, but you have to go after Patrick Sayers. Who's this card.
Mine is still in November.
That's okay.
I
Got a lot of
I just wanted to share with you all some really exciting news about Nicole Sayers. Nicole received an award from CSEA last Saturday. It's a service award, and she richly deserved it. It was a little bit of a rainy day. The North Bay Field Office picnic in Santa Rosa started out with rain, but ended with sun. It was a beautiful day. Patrick Sayers highly commended the ribs at the barbecue. But really, seriously, Nicole deserved every bit of accolades, and I'm so proud of you, and I'm so grateful to you. And we all are, and thank you for your service very much. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Patrick Sayers, volunteers.
It was a very nice picnic, and I'm very proud of Nicole for her accomplishments. It was really a fun day. I'm Patrick Sayers. I'm the Executive Director of Pacifica School Volunteers, and we recruit and secure community volunteers to help support teachers in their classrooms, the students who need one-on-one help or just help in certain academic subjects. And we're a separate organization for the district, but we've been working with them for now 25 years, providing volunteers in the classrooms. I have a couple of announcements. One is that we have a new volunteer coordinator, and her name is Minu Yashar, and she just started these last 2 weeks, and already we're placing volunteers. We were at Sunset Ridge this morning, and we were able to place one of our newest volunteers. So we're kind of on the move again, and we're looking forward to the summer when we have our Think Bridge camp. And Think Bridge Camp is our creativity camp. It's from June 20th to July 14th at Cabrillo School. And we still have openings. And if you want any more information, you can go to thinkbridgecamp.org at our website and get more information. And also, we really need volunteers. After COVID, there was kind of a drop in our numbers, and people were hesitant about returning, or we're not sure what happened. But if you have as little as an hour a week that you can dedicate to volunteering, there's a lot of students that would appreciate your support and help in the classrooms if you have that time. And you can find out any information about us on pacificaschoolvolunteers.org. Thank you.
All right. The other people wishing to address the board?
I don't see anyone online, correct?
All right. Correspondence. So, anyone on the board like to mention correspondence? Last things. Okay.
Yes, Sue Beckmeyer contacted the superintendent's office today and wanted us to mention that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, Mental Health Month. So you will see something in the superintendent's newsletter on Friday. But this is district, cities, county, state, even all over the United States of America. So it's great.
All right. Board and superintendent communications. Start down at the end. Just Doggett.
Just want to share that I did have an opportunity to get to Valamar finally for a Teacher Appreciation Week, so want to share that.
And we had the workforce housing before the city council week ago Monday. And then their final vote on it was this Monday on the consent agenda. So the rezoning for the workforce housing passed. And now we're working on the financing, and the final push is finally there. And they will have the soccer kits.
No, nothing to report. I did receive some emails from community, which I shared with you, Superintendent. And I'm excited for the Elm Flynn dinner this Friday. This Friday. So excited for that. No, nothing else.
All right. I also attended the city council meeting and spoke in favor of passing workforce housing. And Elizabeth said it finally has passed. So that's really good news. I attended a LCAP review with staff, and I think there was really good feedback from that meeting, and I actually think there were some concerns raised, but I think I can bring that up during a future LCAP discussion. But it was good to hear from everybody how they're feeling about stuff, and so that was good feedback. We also had a joint articulation meeting this last week. It was pretty lightly attended. Jefferson Unified High School District actually expressed some interest in maybe sort of breaking up the group and having 2x2 meetings with the city and PSD. But I think we have to, because joint articulation meetings are part of our regular, something that we do normally. I think we probably have to have more discussion around that and what it is that we want to do as a board moving forward. And then other than that, just busy negotiating last 2 weeks. So that's the privilege of being the president of the board. So that was exciting. So that's it for me.
I had a great, I had an opportunity today where one meeting got rescheduled. So I got to attend the swearing in ceremony of Pacifica's new police chief, Maria, I'm going to try to pronounce her name correctly, Sarasua. It was a very moving event, and it was in the same room that our workforce housing was approved in, but the room was full. And, so very, very moving. And my first opportunity to meet her, and I got to brag about us appointing our new leader tonight. And as soon as that's in place and we have some dates settled, some opportunities for the police chief and the new superintendent to meet, because I think that's a very important, in this community, a very important opportunity for movement forward in both the district and the police chief.
Any other comments? That's it. All right, district goals, district business. The district goal values the goals provided in our local control accountability plan and strategic plan. All of our district board agenda items are tied to these goals. One or more goals are listed in the description of each board agenda item. The details from each of those district goals can be accessed on our district website at www.pacificasd.org. All right, employment of a district superintendent. The final employment agreement has been uploaded to the agenda, but in accordance with the legal requirements, the major provisions are as follows. The term of the employment is for 3 years, school year 2023 through 2024 through school year 2025-2026. The salary for the 2023-2004 school year is $230,000. There are master's degree and doctorate stipends in the same amount offered to other management employees of $1,000 and $2,000 respectively. Health and welfare benefits are the same as for other cabinet level employees. There is a monthly automobile allowance of $175 for travel within the district, and business travel to destinations outside the district in a personal automobile will be reimbursed on a per mile basis in accordance with the district policy. The work year is 220 days plus all legal and board approved holidays. Annual vacation accrual is 25 days, exclusive of holidays upon exit from employment, compensation for up to 20 unused accrued vacation days at the salary rate in effect. So are there any questions regarding this agreement? No, but we don't have any comments from the board.
Let's vote.
Okay.
Well, yes, Laverne's letter.
Yeah, and I'm just going to find that in all my stuff. Just momentarily, sorry.
Laverne Villalobos is on an airplane. Her daughter's graduating from college in Kansas and could not be with us.
Right, so she sent a letter. It says, "Dear community members and education partners, I am in agreement with my fellow board trustees on the hiring of Dr. Darnice Williams. As a tireless, creative, and passionate professional, I'm confident she will help lift up our staff, be a leader in curriculum development, and use her skills to create a safe and equitable program for all students. Welcome. Sincerely, Laverne Villalobos." And with that, do I have a motion to approve the employment agreement for Darnice Williams to be employed as superintendent of the district?
I will make a motion to approve the employment agreement for Dr. Darnice Williams to be the district superintendent.
I will second.
All right, great.
Do we need a third? Everybody wants to go.
All right.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. Would love for you to.
Good evening, everyone. I am super excited. I am Darnice Williams, to be soon as of July 1, your new superintendent. I look forward to working alongside of all of you in the best interest of our babies, our children, those individuals who are shining stars of today and tomorrow, and then also working with staff members. I did hear the message. I do believe in working in collaboration around those things that are going well. We want to enhance the great programs in Pacifica, and then we also want to creatively think about how we can advance the work that's already going on, that we can explore ways to address and also to improve in other areas. And again, I come with several years of experience in education. I am a teacher at heart. I am a mom. My daughter is in finals right now. She's online. Hello, thank you. My neighbor showed up, surprisingly. I think that's great support, but I just want to say I am grateful, looking forward to meeting each and every one of you. Please, I'll be reaching out between now and July 1 to get to know you, to talk about what's really going well. I have reviewed the stakeholder report, and so we will have discussion. But all in all, to the board of trustees, you are amazing. I will not let you down, community. I will work alongside with you, and we will do great things together. So again, thank you all. Glad to be here.
Here's your teacher. We could just take like a real quick break, just so we can maybe take a picture. Let's move on to the rest of the. Okay. So maybe if we can just all line up, and Carla, maybe take this picture. Should have queued you up, Carla.
Where would you like to go?
Up here.
Okay.
Where?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not maybe.
Another hand,
Radio is going on Instagram.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Good idea. All right, we're back. We're really excited. Thank you very much. All right, so let's go ahead and move on with our board agenda items. Let's see. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the hiring of Kathy Alderson as principal of Acre B. Lacey Middle School for the year 2023-2024. Are there any questions regarding this item? Nothing else. All right. We have a motion to approve the hiring of Kathy Alderson as principal of IBL Middle School for the 2023-2024 school year. All motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Good night. Okay. So, it's hard to follow that very enthusiastically, but as well. I have been honored to be, I have been a parent and a teacher at IBL for many years, and it's been a privilege to be part of this community. So this year I was able to take on a new role as interim principal, and I am grateful for the opportunity to continue to do that, to keep serving our students and our teachers and our families. And I appreciate your confidence, and I look forward to being a part of a school community that helps kids achieve their fullest.
All right, thank you. So hiring a principal at Ortega Elementary School.
There are 2 public comments.
Okay.
We would have.
So public comment, please.
How about Maria Jackson?
Okay.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Maria Jackson. I'm a parent at Ortega. I'm the PTO president. I've been PTO president for 3 years. I've been on the PTO board for 5. I'm tempted to not say everything I wanted to say here tonight because it is a very joyful occasion. Welcome. Congratulations to all of you. But I do feel that I need to speak out about the fact that the Ortega community was not involved in the hiring process for the Ortega principal that's being recommended tonight. We are a small community. We are very active, and we were very ready to embark in the process of hiring a new principal. We were under the impression that there was going to be a meeting. There was a meeting scheduled for Monday, April 24th. The day of, that meeting was canceled at 12:30 that day. There was a survey that was sent out with the initial invitation to the meeting and the message that told us that we were an important part of the hiring process and ensuring that we had a principal that would meet the needs of Ortega. That did not happen. Sorry. There were no meetings, there were no committees, there was no discussion. Strong schools are led by strong principals that are hired through a process that has a hiring committee that understands the specific needs of the school, recruits candidates based on that criteria, and identifies the strongest candidates and conducts on-site performance assessments with the finalists. It is a process that involves all stakeholders. This process did not involve the Ortega community. So I urge the board to reject the recommendation and to allow the Ortega community as a stakeholder in this process to be a part of the hiring of the principal at Ortega. That's it. Thank you.
The second speaker is Dawn Reach.
Good evening, everyone. I'm also speaking with a lot of emotion tonight. My name's Dawn Rigi. I'm the parent of a third grade student at Ortega. And one of the things that we teach our students is that if there is something that is wrong, you speak out about that, you speak up about it. And I'm here tonight to speak out about how I feel the process that has taken place so far at Ortega is wrong. It's wrong for our community. Contrary to the description that's in the agenda that you have read for item 11C, Ortega school community was not given the opportunity to provide adequate input. We were told that we'd be able to give feedback during a survey or via a survey and also during a Zoom meeting. We were told that we would be able to have multiple representatives on a panel for the interviews for the principalship. Our community was prepared. We were well prepared. We identified people that were ready for the panel. People were ready to participate in the Zoom meeting. And because of that participation and our readiness, we probably did not provide as much input on the survey as we were ready for. Families were waiting to give more personalized comments at the Zoom meeting, and we were denied that input when the meeting was canceled abruptly. And the survey that was provided to us only asked 2 relevant questions about the principalship. Subsequently, the interviews with candidates were also canceled, and our community was informed of a planned transfer, all without adequate input. And not following the publicized process. The process that was shared with the entire community is wrong. That is wrong. That is not fair to do to a community. And so the district's actions just speak volumes. They speak that our concerns, our vision for our students, for teaching and learning, for the skills and experience that we look for in a school leader, and then our hopes for our children are just not important to the district. That's what it says. So as elected officials, as trustees, and as your constituent, I'm asking you to hear us and not dismiss us as we feel we have been dismissed by the district. Please do not approve this transfer process. In fact, I believe that the policy for the transfer process has never been used in this district before. Instead, please direct the district to go back and return to the process that we were promised. Allow us to provide input via a meeting, allow us to take part in interviewing all qualified candidates, and to make the best decision for our school community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There is one speaker on my screen.
Oh, okay.
Casey, 11C. So I will go ahead and allow her to talk.
Hello, my name is Casey. I'm a new parent of a young child at Ortega. I also just want to second the other commenters today in that I expected one process and was really encouraged to see that there would be this type of feedback and determining a principal, which is, a very important position for a school. I appreciate that superintendent did talk to me to explain a little bit the thought process behind a transfer. However, after hearing that conversation, I'm still not sure that a transfer was in the best interest of Ortega. And then I think that the process that has been laid out for almost all other schools and the level of participation in a panel and a little deeper part of the selection of, who makes the most sense is a process that's regularly done for a reason. And I think that I would support any principal candidate that went through that process. It's just hard to understand how the transfer process was the best option for Ortega. And I second the other commenters that I think it is more ideal, and it seems like the much more common practice to have people go through this regular process so there is that deeper input from the community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, are there any more online comments?
There's no more comments online.
Okay. So item C, hiring a principal at Ortega Elementary School. It is recommended that the board approve the transfer of Rachel Carrion as principal from Cabrillo Elementary School to Ortega Elementary School for the 2023-2024 school year per board policy 4314 transfers. Okay, it's an action item. Do you have any questions?
Were they actually told that there would be? So I just want clarification.
Yeah, so as we started the process, and is that we're not aware of the interest in transferring, and so we did set it up as an interview process. We posted the position. There were candidates that applied for it. However, prior to on April 20th, we talked to the staff members, probably about 25 staff members. The survey was open. About 13 people replied to the survey, 4 staff members and 9 parents. And at that point, when we did become aware of the interest, I spoke to Ms. Carrion on the Friday before the Monday parent session, and she indicated her interest in transferring. And so then at that point, we were dealing 2 things for Ortega, both the potential loss of the teacher as well as the process of transfer. And so I did cancel the meeting that morning. And number one, because we were working on issues regarding the teacher, the loss of the teacher, but also at the same time, knowing that there was no reason not to support the transfer. She's a qualified, competent principal that has been vetted by that hiring process prior to taking the job at Cabrillo. And I felt like she was a great match for Ortega School, as well as her strong interest in working at an elementary school. She was an elementary school teacher. That was her experience level. And so I saw no reason not to support that transfer. So I did cancel the meeting with the Ortega parents. And so I would still recommend that we approve the transfer. It's clearly laid out in terms of the transfer policy, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about either the process or Ms. Carrion's.
I mean, I do understand why the transfer process is not the issue. It's the issue of what was told to the parents. I do have an issue with that they were given one thing, told one thing, and then they weren't. You didn't even give them the opportunity to say, hey, we have a candidate that can be transferred. I think that's problematic coming from the district. Just to be honest, I don't like when you tell our parents one thing and then you cancel the meeting and you didn't even say, hey, we have a candidate who wants to come over, because they may want that candidate, but just the communication is an issue.
Well, I will tell you that the challenge around communication was the moment that we could tell the Cabrillo staff at the same time that we were informing the Ortega staff and families. That was kind of the challenge, is how could we do that at almost approximately the same time? So we did that on Wednesday.
And the meeting was it initially scheduled for?
The parent meeting was scheduled for Monday.
Yes. Yeah. And then if you might, could you explain the transfer board policy in a little bit more depth in terms of when an employee requests a transfer, what our process is, and how the decision making happens?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of employee rights, is that the employee rights for a person already in that position, they have rights to that job. If it's a job that's open, we did move very quickly so as you all know, the market for principals is very competitive. And so moving quickly matters. We moved very quickly to get the position posted, to get things going at Ortega, to make communications with both staff and parents. So we did move more quickly. We didn't wait for a period of time and say, are there any current administrators that are interested? But it did come up in the process before we started interviewing that there was a candidate that was interested. And so she does have rights to that job before we interview other candidates. And so that's the part that's hard to understand is like, you wouldn't take that person that's interested in transferring and have them go through that process if they're qualified and have proven that they've done that job. That's kind of the piece around transfers, just like CSEA employees and LSEA employees have rights to transfer. Administrators have rights to transfer as well.
Thank you. I mean, so as somebody that doesn't work in a public school system, I think sometimes I also find board policies to be very different than what the policies are in other sectors, especially in public education. This is one of them that I think you don't realize the kinds of rights that employees in a public school district have that are different from other sectors. And so that was new to me. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. I think it's hard to communicate that to a parent community because it is different from most other sectors that are out there.
But it still should be communicated. I think that's what the issue is here. It wasn't communicated that she has a right to the position and she has qualified for the position. I'm not saying that, but the failure to communicate it to the parent group, the PTO, who had an expectation of being part of the process, that's problematic. Right? And you have to have a human element too. Like, yes, we have to follow policies, we have to follow the rules, but we also have to work with our community. And then if you make a decision like this, they still have a right to know why.
Yeah. And the incredible challenge was that one communication went out to Ortega parents and Cabrillo parents, because I know those communications would have been exchanged, right? So it would have been out there. I didn't write an Ortega communication and a Cabrillo communication, but in retrospect, I could have.
Yeah, you could have kept the meeting. I mean, it still would have been useful.
Well, to clarify, I think her point was that if she informed parents at Ortega on Monday and didn't inform the Cabrillo community, that would have caused a challenge. So in order to be equitable to both communities, I just want to acknowledge that is a very difficult decision and a very difficult position to be in. So in order to stay equitable to both communities about an administrator transfer, there are definitely opportunities to improve communication, but I think that was that makes sense as a move.
And I will say that canceling the meeting with Ortega parents, by that point I had made the decision, and I worked with Dr. Torres around is this a appropriate move, and we made the decision to do that. And I just felt like it would be disingenuous to be pretending like, oh, we're still going to do this, knowing that on Wednesday we were going to inform people something different. So again, I don't know what the right answer on that one was, but on Monday I couldn't be honest with people.
All right. Are there any other questions? Do you have a motion to approve the transfer of Rayford Carrion as principal from Cabrillo Elementary School to Ortega Elementary School for the 2023-2024 school year per board policy 4314? Motion? Motion to transfer?
I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes. And opposed, against, please raise your hand.
Wait,
against.
Oh, against. I'm sorry.
Well, let's start over.
Okay, sorry.
Please raise your hand. All those against, please raise your hand. Motion passes 3-1.
All right. Rachel, will you have a word?
Great, I'm Rachel Carrion. I'm currently on Cabrillo, as you know, and I'm really excited. Thank you for this opportunity to lead the Ortega community. I really have appreciated my time at Cabrillo, and I've really learned so much from them. But it's always been a goal of mine to lead my own TK 5 school site, and I'm really lucky to have the chance to do so in Pacifica still. So I'm really excited to meet and partner with all of the families and staff at Ortega, and I can't wait to start. Thank you.
Right, next is teaching and learning, middle school math at IBL.
We promised you to be right up at the front of the agenda.
So we've got Kathy Alderson and Joan Wyman.
Hi, there we go. Thank you. Pacifica board members and cabinet and community members. Joan and I are, well, we're really excited to be here because this is what we like to talk about. We'd like to talk about math. Probably it's a little unhealthy, but how much we like to talk about it. But here we go. So, next. Well, what we're going to talk to you about today is how we help kids be successful in math in middle school. So we're going to take success lane.
Okay. All right. So the first step is to be student-centric. You have to know your kids. So building relationships with them and getting to know them, understanding how they see themselves as mathematicians. Kids come in with a very I'm good at math, I'm not good at math. You know, they have a vision about themselves with math. So we need to know where they are so we can start from that place. We also have to understand their needs. So who they are as people, what's happening in their lives, any challenges that are outside the math classroom that just seep their way in, we need to deal with that. And I think for me, the most important thing is celebrating growth. Wherever they're at, when we progress forward, it's a good day. So those are the student-centric focuses that we take in our math classes. And that is representative of all of the math teachers at IBL. I am so honored to work with an amazing staff that value these same values.
Absolutely. At IBL, all of our middle schools were using college preparatory math, CPM curriculum. That's our foundation. It lays as our foundation, and then we include some supplemental materials on top of that, just to enrich the curriculum as well.
Yeah, I would say CPM is really a strong program because it's founded in critical thinking skills, word problems, and really teaching kids not just algorithms, but a basis of why those algorithms exist or why we do certain things in math that we all learned way back when. But we also need to kind of adapt it because any curriculum is not going to meet all of the needs. And so we use this as a foundation for where we go, and then we supplement it on that. So how do we make those decisions? How do we know what to put in and what to do?
So we are looking at data all the time. We're kind of data geeks. So that is, we look a lot at data. We have quantitative data that includes chapter tests, of course. We look at our iReady scores. We study them. The LPAC scores. We look at our CAST scores at the end of the year. So at the beginning of the year, we set our students up. We have qualitative data too. So we're constantly monitoring their abilities and their needs and what they need through looking at their homework and their classwork. We have exit tickets. Class discussions are always very telling of what they do and do not know. Student participation also tells us a lot. And we like to be able to conference with either small groups. So we set them up in small groups where we can go over and visit with them and really ask, meaningful questions and or individuals as well.
So how we modify the instructions. One of the things with CPM is it's kind of designed to sort of turn the book over and guide them. In my years of teaching, this is my 10th year of teaching CPM, kids kind of get lost in the book sometimes. So trying to find some mechanism to set the pace to make sure we get through all the core creative things. And here's a good moment of COVID. I learned a lot of skills on how to do Google Slides. And so I found that really effective to be able to put core problems up there and make sure that we're covering those and making sure that the kids are understanding and pull out the vocabulary that's sort of embedded in there to make sure they don't kind of gloss over that. CPM also provides engaging activities that are the core and that sometimes have to be modified in order to kind of tweak them to work in the classrooms. There's a component, an online component, Desmos, which has all kinds of interactive things and that one I like a lot because it has a lot of writing components. We try and find fun games for them to play that are related, our group work and discussion, and time to practice skills in class.
What's one of the things that both of us, all the teachers actually at IBL, take the problems that are in CPM and we do make Google Slides, or we just highlight that one particular problem, because we are constantly modeling how to read and how to pull out the information that we need, the data that we need, so that they can then use it. So we oftentimes the process is pull out the information, go back to your tables, let's work on it together, and then we share out our information, and then we learn from each other in the classroom.
So supplemental materials that we're often using is online activities like Desmos, Jamboard, Kahoot. I don't know if you know what a Kahoot is. It's like kind of an online quick present. Jeopardy. We look for multisensory activities, hands-on algebra tiles. Today we've been cutting circles and rearranging them to figure out what the area of a circle is. The iReady lessons, that has been, I'm going to make my plug here. Thank you, board, for this. That has been really invaluable. To me personally, I have taken kids and I have given them some of those iReady lessons, and I'm going to share a little story. Sorry, I think I teach both 7th and 8th grade. So I have what I call my repeaters, kids who come, and I have them for 2 years. And I had these two students last year that were tested in a 4th grade level. Didn't see themselves as good at math, all those things. And I adjusted their math homework to include their iReady lessons. By the end of 7th grade, they were testing at a 6th grade level. So it's like, woohoo. So they came in for beginning of 8th grade, they tested at 6th grade level. So I was like, woohoo, we didn't lose anything over summer. I continued to work with them. And by January, they were testing at a 7th grade level, this close to hitting 8th grade, And the nice thing was I could pull them aside and they're like, oh, I really got, no, look at what you did. Celebrating growth, having a lot of conversations around that. And the dynamic that changed in their ability to work and grow was huge. So it's I think it gives good data to the teachers. It gives an opportunity for places for them to get supplemental learning to fill in those gaps. And my experience has been the kids who really do engage in that, we're seeing tremendous growth. So anyway, those plugs. Khan Academy is used. Different teachers use it at different levels. And I had to put in there the dreaded worksheet. Because as much as we love CPM, kids just need rote practice too. They need to have some of that fluency and practice and those skills so that they remember it. And so while it's not the focus, it is a part. It's just like going to basketball practice and your coach makes you run, running drills or dribbling drills, or what do they do in basketball? So trying to provide a lot of different ways for kids to engage in the curriculum.
I forgot our tagline, drills make skills.
Oh, drills make skills. Okay, so the most important thing we do is celebrate growth. One of the things I say in my classroom is, did you learn something today? And they say yes, then it's a good day. So I hope you learned something today. And thank you for letting us come and share our passion with you.
Thank you. I'm sure we'd love to ask you some questions.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. As a former middle school math teacher, this is an area of passion of mine, and I also remember this age group is when you start to lose a lot of kids. So it's 6th grade where it starts to bifurcate, where kids, in 5th grade are like 80% are kind of in the same group, and then 6th grade you've got like 50% at the same level, and then a lot of students start to struggle, and it gets kind of worse, depending on the school district, of course, as you go up. And I also just wanted to recall the data that Will had shared previously on the iReady, when they summarized the iReady growth across middle schools. Now, granted, it's not IBL. This was all 7th graders and 8th graders combined. In 7th grade in particular, there was no movement in that struggling student population. And that was an area of massive concern for me And so, one, I want to celebrate the fact that you're focusing on successes. And then I love the class discussions. And, for me, a passion in middle school math is creating thinking classrooms. And how do you put the cognitive load on the students so that they take on the challenge of understanding where they can go with problems. And so all of that to ask the question of, I'd love to better understand how you are differentiating instruction for the students who are struggling and what additional or different supports are being provided for those students.
I'll add in. Okay, so I'm going to speak specifically to my classroom because I had an opportunity to observe other classrooms. I think the differentiation has to do with providing something that has access in all different levels. So always giving kids that kind of same base level and working with those kids. My way I work in my classroom is we get them started and then I float from table to table. Sometimes I group my tables in such a way that those kids get the extra attention. Sometimes I make them more heterogeneous where they're working. It depends on the dynamics of the group. The iReady lessons is a good support there. So what I've done is modify their homework so they have opportunity to practice skills at home using their iReady lessons. And the iReady lessons target directly to where their math skills, where there are gaps in the math skills based on their testing. And then also like an example, well, tomorrow we have time. So I'm going to break the kids. I'm going to have one group of kids working on one set of Mars tasks. And then I'm going to take a separate smaller group and sit down and really go over some really core these skills for what they need to know and reinforce those skills. And that's in particular in the 8th grade, because I have a certain set of skills that I want every single 8th grader to know before they walk out that door, because I know what they need to have for high school. Did that answer your question?
It started to, and I'm also curious about what kind of formative assessment data you track or not you specifically, but that middle schools track on a consistent basis. To understand, because, at least I remember when I did exit tickets, you kind of look at them, group kids, and then throw them out, So in what way are we kind of tracking that formative data so that we're not waiting for iReady, which is, a couple of times a year, and then the CAST, which is one time a year? How do we have those regular touch points on understanding student gaps in knowledge and how to support them?
One of the, there's a couple of things. I like Joan, used to group the groups so that they could, in a particular way so that they could work together. Or like we're saying, if I've got some students that need some more support, maybe they're grouped together and that's the group that I'm going to hit when I'm floating around. The other thing that I was going to say that just left out of my brain, that was a really good answer.
Well, when thinking about that, one of the ways that I run my classroom is the first step is that we review the homework, they check it, and then
that's what I was saying.
See, and I have this little thing called the homework records. They don't turn their homework in. I will look at. So I actually go around and I look at every single student's homework that day. And then if they made a good faith effort, they showed their work. They get them all wrong, but as long as they made their good faith effort to do the work, they get their credit. What that allows me to do is I can do mini lessons right then and there. Like I can just okay, guys, look at numbers. A good example is that I walked around and everybody missed class number 5. And I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going to have a lesson on that problem number 5 because I can see that a majority of the students are not understanding that concept. So I essentially am kind of doing formative assessments every single day, as well as the class discussions, when we do jam boards, that was, they have to write things. And there's quick, I can see that I can write one Post-it note on the jam board, and it tells me if I've got a problem across the board or if I just need to check in with students. I try and this is coming out of the UDL training that we did. I just started experimenting with that. So now I can give feedback directly, really quickly, like a language arts teacher on any of their jam boards now, whether I can get them to read it or not, those are hard. But the homework is as a besides the classwork, that gives me really good insight into their individual understanding.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say for sure. Every single day, I find that's probably the most important part of our lesson is reflecting on their homework and what they did. And so we take a lot of time to go through those and answer questions. They are supposed to self-grade oftentimes so that they're reflecting on their work. And just like Joan, you kind of walk around, you look for the amount of red on the paper. And if there is something that keeps coming up, that's what we address right then and there. Michelle was also mentioning we do have the support with the before and after school tutoring as well, so that we can, those students who are need a little extra help, they can come after school.
Yeah, and I do lunch bunch. So Tuesdays and Thursdays lunch for 7th grade. And then my prep period is 4th period. And that's the same thing as the 8th grade electives. And the elective teachers have been really fabulous. That if they just go to their elective teacher and say, hey, I need to go see Ms. Weideman, they can come on over. And I know other teachers have different mechanisms for providing that individual support in different ways. But because I see it across the hall with the new teacher, and I know that the 6th grade team does the same as well.
And Will, just one last question. Are there content-specific professional development opportunities for teachers and staff? So for middle school math, are there PDs? Are there PLCs? Are there, how does that
well, there isn't lately, honestly, there hasn't been many PDs directly for kind of intervention type stuff, aside from what was being provided through iReady. The iReady PD wasn't just about the diagnostic and analyzing the data, but it was also what do we do because of what we see in the diagnostics. So there was sections of that for professional development that dealt with what resources or how do you want to, they even have a component within iReady or how you group the students based off their skill performance on there. So, which was one of the things that I thought was one of the bigger, most beneficial parts of it was this idea that they were coming out of that professional development saying, oh, now I have my groups for this particular skill. So when you're going through your practices that you have for your homework, you have that in your mindset. And that's maybe the way you execute that lesson for that particular day. But there hasn't been really, honestly, beyond that, more PD directly about content and about intervention type of content. But within the CPM program and within the Bridges Math program, there are interventions, and we did have the intervention training, the intervention kit training, which was a part of that. So it's embedded within the curriculum, but as far as specifically having like district-wide or collaborative professional development on intervention, aside from the iReady piece, there hasn't been that there hasn't been in the past. I mean, one of the main reasons, and I'm not trying to plug this or anything, but we had specialists. We were able to do that. We were able to actually provide professional development in-house on interventions, but we don't have a specialist anymore. So.
But CPM does offer, like, if there's a new teacher that needs to learn CPM, I believe that we support them because CPM is it's difficult to teach, tricky curriculum. So and they have such really great instructional strategies that you learn when you go to the CPM.
Yeah, there's online CPM trainings for new to CPM, right. And then there's also same thing with Bridges. But at the beginning of the year, all the new teachers get that. We make sure that they have those opportunities for that. But
there's a CPM seminar coming up too that people can go to.
Yes,
I said it was fun.
CPM their trainings are excellent, and the district has supported me to take the trainings when I came on new into Pacifica School District, and they have ongoing trainings. So, and I find, if you want to know about that professional development, to be able to send the core teachers, to be able, when I did the training, I actually had CPM training with my previous district, and we went as a team. And then when I came into Pacifica School District, they sent us as a team. And that allowed us some really good time to A, get trained, and B, to have conversations about how that training would look and morph into our school environment. So, that's
great. I mean, it sounds like we have good content. I don't know CPM in depth, but it sounds like we have good content. It sounds like there's some great pedagogical ideas out there on how to support that content. the only thing that I would love to request is, again, because middle school math has been a challenge for this district, previously, as well as we're seeing this year with the iReady scores, I would like to understand what expectations or what, not formal policies, but what best practices we can put in place for all teachers in middle school so that there is clarity on how do you understand growth in a student throughout the year in between the iReady test. So are there kind of formative assessment practices we can recommend so that tracking happens consistently, so that groups are changed throughout the year as students progress, as they move from one skill to another. And just kind of setting out some of that stuff. I would love to see that and what our district's kind of middle school math practices are, to have confidence that is, we're on a trajectory to change.
We just actually on a trajectory to change. I have to say that. I mean, I'm very confident that through the iReady and through the iReady PD, which I'm hoping will continue next year, not only just the personalized instruction licenses, but actually the PD that goes with it, because those trainings, the two main big trainings that we had this year, we have a 10-week period in between each diagnostic, 10 weeks, right? So once we were done with that second diagnostic, and they had time to analyze and look at that, and then look at groupings, look at interventions, look at resources that iReady provides through personalized instruction and other areas, then they were able to act on that for the next 8 weeks before the next diagnostic happened. Now, also within the personalized instruction knows what the diagnostic says, and they set, okay, here's your path, learning path, they call it. Here's your learning path. And they drill down in the areas that they need more support in the personalized instruction. Now, Joan talked about how she utilizes personalized instruction where she can adjust and say, these are the lessons that I want you to work at based off what I'm seeing in the instruction I'm seeing in front of me, or the learning that I'm seeing in front of me. That is another layer. But even if Joan didn't do that, or a teacher didn't do that, if they're on the personalized instruction 45 minutes a week, then they're getting their level where they're at kind of level. So I think we're on a trajectory, but I would again, as I said earlier, we do need more intervention, PD on intervention, content intervention piece. And I think that's something that is going to be a struggle for a while. But I mean, we're just going to have to figure out a way of making sure that we have that time to do that. And we have the expertise to support the PD in that area. So.
And I hope that we can prioritize that in our plans.
One of the great things about Kathy Alderson as a principal is that she's a strong math teacher. And that's one of the reasons why she came up to the top through the interview process of that. The bad news is now we have to go tomorrow, so sure, a new middle school math teacher.
Any other questions from the board?
I just wanted to acknowledge Ms. Whiteman as my daughter's 8th grade math teacher. That's all.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to give you also the same talk I gave to the kids, which is thank you very much for being here. Do not feel like you need to stay for the whole thing.
I have things to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. The next is an action item, declaration of need for fully qualified educators for 2023-2024 school year. Dr. Torres.
That's all that I have to present is exactly what it says there. And then in the attachment, you will see how many declarations of need that we do need. We have several openings right now, so we're not sure if we'll need any of them for the openings. So we're kind of putting a large number out there just in case. Of the ones that we do know, we have added them to the declaration of need. And we do this every year per board policy 4112.2 certification. We are doing our due diligence to hire credentialed teachers as much as possible. But sometimes our teachers are interns, if we haven't been able to find some, and then some of them might need a waiver. So at this time, we estimate possibly needing four CLAD emergency permits, 5 resource specialist permits, limited assignment permits. This is the large number because we have so many people to hire still, but 10 multiple subject, 10 single subject, 14 special education. Currently, we have 14 special education certificated positions open that are filled with contracted employees, but we're trying to hire our own district employees to replace them. In addition, we have authorizations for single subject limited assignments, 3 for English, 2 for social science, 2 for math, 2 for science, and 2 for music. And again, some of this is because we're not sure who we're going to be able to hire for next school year.
All right, do we have any questions regarding this item?
Dr. Torres, do you have a split of where those fall from a school perspective?
Can you explain more?
Yeah, so like the numbers you just ran off for English 3, social studies, those requested authorizations. Do you know which schools you would be looking for?
I can get that information for you. For special education, it's a little spread out. It's dependent on where they're hired. I think for the authorizations for single subject limited assignment, most of those are on either at IBL or Cabrillo.
Okay. And then for multiple subject, which I guess would be elementary.
For multiple subject, currently for next school year, we'll have none, and we'll have one intern credential at this point. We haven't hired anybody that's needed a waiver, but we still have a lot of hiring to do. So we just don't know. So this is just in case. Yeah. You're welcome.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators for the 2023-2024 school year?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, next is another action item, which is the approval of outdoor education contract. Bill Lucy.
I love this one. I love having the honor of this is for 5th graders next year, that every single one of them will experience the outdoor education program. We have, this is a recommendation from the board to approve the contract for the 23-24 outdoor education. I've said it in the past, it's a phenomenon. When I was a teacher, I went up on outdoor ed with my students, and I remember it was out of Redwood City, and we had to get everybody the money to go up, and we were doing this. This is great that the parcel tax funds it. It's just one of the, I think, the shining stars of this district that we're able to provide this for every single one of our 5th grade students, and they all get that experience. So it's in front of you for recommendation for approval.
Education contract. So they can be super 12 schools. Since I can tell you the next month they are so busy, I just not time to do it. So it's actually relatively difficult and hours to do it, but it's also easier for me because I know the policies, right? I'm one of the first one, but so we're one, 2, was a process now in place because it was a real strength of this school district. So I just brought you through this area today. I'm not going to go into great details. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have about certain policies. I did all of the since but in general, they're very nice. So I just found out the ones that the zeros, those objectives were it's changes in thoughts. So it's very well things to go there. There's some sort of that's it. So we'll just want to be
safely store your firearm. That's going to come in the fall notifications. We do typically do that in January because there are a number of families in Pacifica that own guns, and that's a very important safety feature to keep guns out of schools. The other is cybersecurity. We're seeing a lot more policies around cybersecurity. And so there is an agency that we could request a independent cybersecurity assessment. But even more importantly is that if you do have a cyber attack that impacts 500 staff or students, 500 total, you have to report it to this agency. And then finally, kind of updates to the local control accountability plan. These are for the future. Is that the Parent Advisory Council must include parents of currently enrolled students with disabilities. We do have that just by default. We have a number of very involved parents of students with disabilities, but we would want to make sure that that was a part of that. And then the other is to include 2 middle school students on that. And so I think for next year, that would be the goal. Any questions on the 00s? All right, let's go on to the 3000s, please. So fees and charges, a lot of them were around fees for transportation. We have no charges for transportation. We typically provide transportation to students that are either living somewhere else because their family is homeless or that they have an IEP. So we do not charge for transportation. And the other is that we must provide a free breakfast and lunch to any student who requests that. Financial reports and accountability, just minor clarifications in terms of kind of cleaning up and clarifications. Campus security, you're going to hear this through multiple policies, is a big one. It's like mandated reporting for 6th through 8th grade, those that work with 6th through 8th graders. So could be a principal, it could be a library media tech, it could be a teacher, but there's an obligation that if there's a credible threat of a homicidal act, that it must be reported to in law enforcement. So that's like mandated reporting. The only thing that's slightly different is that there's not the threat of losing your license or your credential. But we will make sure that we provide training to all staff that work with 6th through 8th graders. You're going to see that I cut and pasted that a lot, but it was through multiple policies. The other is the reporting of cyber attacks. There was no central reporting of that in the past. Bomb threats was kind of surprising to me because most bomb threats do come in through phones, and it did kind of reminded me of the old days on that, but just clarification. And then we did a transportation plan right before the April 1st meeting. I think we did ours in March, and it just needs to be updated every year. In terms of students, weapons and dangerous instruments, again, the whole thing around credible threat of a homicidal act. Moving on to health examinations is that we may contract with other agencies or in order to provide vision and hearing screening. I think that was specifically around vision screening. Again, safety is around the 6th through 8th grade reporting of homicidal acts. And then finally, the Safe Routes to School program is safety instruction for biking, scootering, and e-bikes. not mandatory, but it is, there are some agencies that are qualified to provide that. Two more in this category. One is a big policy was 5148.2, which is before and after school programs, and just clarifying it so that the language was consistent with the laws around expanded learning opportunity programs. I read it. I thought it met those needs, and I have to take out my trash. That was my reminder. And then and then I also had Tom Stafford read it, and he said it was consistent with his understanding as well. I did remove 5148.3. Initially, I took it out saying we don't have preschool programs except for the ones for students with IEPs. But then as I was reading it and moving through it, there's an awful close correlation to transitional kindergarten. And so I'll be working with Mr. Bartfield around making sure that we're not having a policy. So we just needed a little more time on that one. In terms of instruction, the biggest piece on this is a policy that we've always had that clarifies exactly what our obligation as a district is. But the biggest change in this is designating a main point of contact for coordinating and leading the transition of child and family from infant and toddler into preschool. And for us, that's Betsy Belkin. And so her professional contact information is included in that. Next slide. And then the next three are all relating to you as board members. And so, as you know, January was an interesting time in board member land, and there was a lot of movement. But one is clarifying recalling a board member, and then revision of election process and procedure. Then in terms of filling vacancies, and we've used that one quite consistently on this board, but just their recommendation was rearranging the timelines for filling a vacancy and just being very clear about what the steps were. And then finally, meeting conduct is, and this was a change because of challenging board meetings in January, authorizes the board president to remove an individual for disrupting a board meeting and establishing the procedure for warning that individual. And so many boards had to take action on that in the new year. And so CSBA made some clarification in terms of that. That is the end. Are there any questions on these policies? Questions? So if there are no further questions, what we would do is bring this to the May 31st for the consent agenda. I don't think I'm going to cram another set. So they come about every 3 months. So this is December. The March is out and June will be out. So I think what I will do is work with Dr. Williams and Cabinet to see how we can get the March done maybe over the summer, and that they can just catch up on that. As you can see, like some of them are just no-brainers, like we don't have an argument. There will be a couple that really require great board discussion, but this just keeps us current.
All right, so that was just the first reading. So we're now on to future agenda items.
Future agenda items. So from this board meeting, we need to bring back that personnel item. We will have that for your information. And then we have a very hefty schedule. So the 31st is the public hearing part where we have to schedule that part to happen at the right time. It can't happen any earlier than that. It can happen after that. We also have recognition of retiring teachers, classified staff, and administrators. And we do our resolution of appreciation for parent volunteers, CPAC, and PEF. Resolution recognizing June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month, resolution for Juneteenth, and then 3 public hearings. as well as a resolution for budgetary increases and transfers at the end of the year. Wellness committee update, and our teaching and learning segment will be around special education instruction. We during one of our board meetings that was very long, we did not do our special ed presentation, and I think we owe both you and Dr. Williams kind of an update on where we are in the items that were in the study, as well as special education instruction. People think of it as a place and not instruction, and we really do want to highlight some of the instructional components because we've worked hard on those. And then the bylaws, regulations, and policies would be in consent unless we have no further questions. I believe that is a meeting till 10:30 or 11. So I'm truly not going to ask anything, but we have 2 board meetings before I am no longer a part of your governance team. So is there anything that you'd like to see at the end of May or June 14th? Okay. Thank you very much. Congratulations, board, on your hire.
Thank you. All right, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:35 p.m.
Recording stop.